Hey, hi, everybody who loves headless instruments and especially Ned Steinberger's designs. How are you all? And I hope you're well.
Hi, everybody. Please welcome Hap. We're thrilled to have you here. Let's dive right in. Um, Hap, can you share some of your fondest memories from your time working at Steinberger?
Steinberger Sound Company, because I'm currently working with Ned and the crew at NS Design today, which is the fulfillment center in Maine, where we're manufacturing and distributing Ned's newest designs, started in the 90s, late 90s, after he left Gibson. So, and I can be corrected and sliced and diced on any of this. So we just start recording, and I'll just talk to you. My fondest memories of Steinberger Sound Company was the beginning, 79, 1980, from 80 to 84. Heavily involved. The first Steinberger Sound Company. I brought my prototype instrument to the first music messa in 1980, not NAMM. I brought it to the messa because that was the bigger stage. That was the world stage. It was bigger than NAMM. Eventually, NAMM became the biggest, and the messa is closed and over after 30 years. There is still an ongoing show for fretted instruments and bowed instruments. Well, not bowed, fretted and unfretted, guitars, bass guitars, amplifiers, gear. And that's at the Mannheim show. And I'm going over there September 25th through 29th. And that has replaced, for most of us, the Central European show, which used to be Frankfurt. So there'll be 12,000 people attending this year. And we will have Ned's newest guitars. Yeah, why not? Okay, here we go.
That's fantastic. So that answers my next question, which is, are you still in touch and working with Ned? Which is everyone by now who's been watching can definitely see that you are. What is it like working so closely with Ned Steinberger?
Um, I've been enamored of Ned Steinberger's design work since the late 70s when I heard him give a speech at the NAMM show as he was at the Labella booth and explained the pivot and explained his right-hand tuning and carbon fiber replacing wood as a more solid, dense material so you could get the resonance and the balance. And that was a fortunate experience for me, and I was seeped in the vintage guitar world pretty heavily, and that was an awakening. It was anachronistic, didn't belong in this space and time, but it was there. So I looked at it and said, "Okay, let me learn more about this." So when I got to meet Ned later, because he came to Mandolin Brothers, things moved forward, and Ned, the late Stanley M.J., the late P. Robert Young, Bob Young, and I all formed Steinberger Sound Company and went into manufacturing and production. And production was at Lane Marine, helping us make the bodies and the molds. And P. Robert Young was at Lane Marine, the gentleman whose fiberglass lifeboat passed seaworthiness. And from that point on, lifeboats became international orange colored fiberglass lifeboats. They're still around today, and that's where they are. So, I mean, it was an interesting group of gentlemen, and the four of us. And Steinberger Sound Company was built upon manufacturing and putting into the market Ned's design work. First starting with bass guitars, the L2, and then eventually into guitars, GL, and Ned's trans-trem design, which was able to go have a tremolo that would go up and down in 100% tuning, so you could drop to a different key and it would be in tune. The early years, so for me, 80 to 84, 85 were key years for me. and that was Brooklyn, and then moving up to Newburgh, New York. And this was all just blue skies and success. We were succeeding in a marketplace that beforehand had no idea what a headless instrument was, why it was headless, and why right-hand tuning was easier, and why you could get a 40-to-1 ratio as compared to a 16-to-1 on the best tuner. So Ned brought a lot to the table, and our Steinberger Sound Company was the first real headless guitar company to break into this market, and still followed today by many of you out there who may wind up watching this, and I'm delighted to be with you. And Natalie, you continue this, so here we go.
Yeah, the funny anecdote we were talking about earlier is that Young's son, Gary, was in the band Pavement as a drummer, a band that I really like. So we've been getting a lot of comments and interaction on Facebook since we've been releasing your instruments. And one of the old Steinberger employees, Richard Paul Carnice, he mentioned that you were a great guy.
Hi, Richard. He's a great guy too. We were. It was a tight group, and we were exploring the ceiling. We were like breaking through. So, thank you, Richard. Thank you.
He said he worked at Steinberger right until the day that they moved the fixtures to Newburgh in Brooklyn. And can you share a little bit more about that transition period?
Well, we were very fortunate. Ian O'Mari, the string company, had Richard Coco Sr. was running Ian O'Mari. Richard Coco Jr. is running it now, and Eric Coco. And Mari Company was offered a chance to move its operation from, I think it was the Bronx, not sure where, Bed-Stuy, Bronx, to Newburgh, New York, upstate. And when Richard Coco Sr. was there, they asked him, do you know anybody else in the music business who might be willing to come up and need some financial help to set up manufacturing? And he said, yeah, talk to Ned Steinberger. And so we made a deal with the city of Newburgh and took on a building and a lease and a mortgage and all of that, and hired employees. And everybody from Brooklyn was told, you want to come up? You come with us, you work with us. Some people said, no, we're not going. It's not us. But there were new people. And, Jeff Babbitts, Jeff Carano, many people were able to come in and continue to help, define, the market for Ned Steinberger's instruments. Again, I'm a participant. Ned Steinberger is the designer and continues to design today and continues to break new ground and work on projects that interest him, and specializing in other things besides the music instrument industry. But a great success for Ned has been the acceptance worldwide of musicians to love what he's building and designing and what we're doing. And we're small. It's a music business. This is not artificial intelligence. We're not tech. We're in a small business, and we're in the fretted and unfretted bowed stringed end of the business. So it's a labor of love. You enjoy it, and so far it's been a great ride.
I love that, and I can relate, and I agree. A lot of people have been discussing the instruments they bought and sold or still own. What are your thoughts on the community that has formed around Steinberger instruments?
Well, it's been being formed since the late 70s. I mean, these are well-made instruments. Everything that has gone into the market has gone with thought. I mean, these are well-made instruments. We're still in production today of everything that Ned's working on through NS Design, and quality is extremely important. And we have a worldwide connection with musicians that buy, own, and perform with these instruments designed by Ned Steinberger. Remember, I'm the sales part of the sales end. I was the vice president sales and marketing of Steinberger Sound Company, and I'm now liaison international for NS Design. So my sphere is outside the country. We have had national sales managers, several national sales managers. Um, the late Mike Kropp, Jay Blout, currently Angelica Wilson. But it's a key position for U.S. And my position, which can be open to another person at some time, is the international relationships that we have, because NS instruments and Steinberger instruments are sold in almost every country to musicians, and that's vintage ones. This market, this vintage market, along with other companies that created fretted instruments or bowed instruments. All right, bowed instruments. Well, Anton Stradievari's violins still command multiple millions, and Leo Fender's, creations, absolutely amazing, and Gibson, the 1903 mandolin, guitar, and banjo company that created so many great instruments that are still being made and used, like the Les Paul guitar, as a premier example. Fender Stratocaster, Fender P-Bass. Leo Fender was the first to create a bass guitar. So, I mean, we're part of the market, and we're a later part of the market. We're a later addition, and Ned said, I want to do this. I want to do bridge tuning. I want to make you reach here, not here. I want this to balance. This is a 5-string bass. This balances perfectly. I set it here, it's going to stay here. And this is new for me. I've done this before, but not like this. So what I'm giving you, I hope, is good. Slice and dice it. Take what you want out of here. And if we have to redo this,
Yeah.
we'll redo it. You'll say, Hap, that wasn't good enough. You didn't answer that question. Let's do it again.
I think you're doing a fantastic job. And, speaking of your sales experience, which is what I definitely know it was has been your focus. I like the stories of your interesting sales, and your interesting clients. And man, the sales stories are so interesting. What is one or two memorable stories that you could share with everybody?
Well, I'll give you the one that I think that many people understand. When we first came out with an L2 bass, which was carbon fiber and reinforced plastic, it was rigid and solid like metal. So I would put two chairs together and stand on the bass and tell everybody, if I can do this, that bass is rock solid and it'll resonate perfectly, more than any wooden bass with a bolt-on neck or a neck through. This is aerospace plastic, and this tuning is giving weight and solidity to give you resonance. So I was able to do demonstrations that today would look a little aberrant, if nothing else. Aberrant, whatever you call it, but not particularly welcoming to anybody playing an instrument. But at the time, got people to look at it. I would also bang it on the floor and make a huge clang with it, and then pick it up, and it's perfectly in tune. So, I mean, I was fortunate. I was allowed to use some stage theatrics that were not available to some of my competitors.
I love that. So many people have been inquiring about the prices of the two instruments we posted so far. We were going to post some more instruments yesterday and the day before, but we're going to postpone that till tomorrow. So for everyone asking, do you want to let everyone know the price of your Radius bass P1 and your L2, or do you want me to disclose that a little bit later on?
That's you. You and I worked all of that out, and we put prices out. And I believe that these instruments are historically important. I've possessed them for years, and like anybody who's getting older, I'm 77. I continue to believe that I'm going to do this, and again, I'm on my way to Mannheim, Germany at the end of this month coming up. I'll keep running. So I just have instruments too many at this point in my life, and I am selling off not only some of my NS instruments, but other instruments too. It's just I've had a great time buying instruments that I used for me to express my music, and at this point in time, I had too many, and I'm still keeping 5 or 6 NS or Steinberger pieces, but they're more modern pieces that I am using.
What are your hopes for the current and future owners of Steinberger instruments?
Play the hell out of them and enjoy them. Take care of them. Be good to them. They'll be good to you. They'll last you a lifetime and more. You'll be able to pass them on exactly like I'm doing. Okay, this is historically important. And we're part of a marketplace for vintage instruments worldwide. And that includes vintage pianos, vintage violins. I mean, the marketplace for creativity of designers and manufacturing companies continues. And at this point in time, these instruments are old enough to have a historical importance or relevance that you have to earn by age. You have to earn it by age. You have to have done this back then. And we did it. We did it. We moved it forward. And we were fortunate to be able to move to Newburgh and continue the operation. And as you know, Steinberger Sound Company was sold to, at that point, Gibson Guitar Company, which still exists today. Different management, different ownership. But Ned was able to sell the company and spent 10 years working with the administration that owned Gibson Inc. and many different brands and designs incorporated under that banner. They still exist today. If you investigate it, take a look at it. Gibson Inc. owns a lot of brands, including Steinberger Sound Company. And we're hoping that one day
Sorry about my dog.
it hits the market again with a force, because there's a lot of people who want them. And that's part of why this vintage market for Steinbergers is so driven. That's my opinion, by the way.
I love that opinion. How do you feel about the restoration work being done on Steinberger instruments, such as the work done by Jeff Babbitts?
Well, Jeff Babbitts worked with Ned as just as far up as a position as he could be. He worked as basically Ned's, engineer. Ned is the design engineer, and he had another engineer with him. And Jeff Babbitts was able to learn from Ned many different nuances about these instruments. And at this point in time, Jeff has hands-on knowledge. One of my basses, I had totally restored by Jeff, and he did me a great favor. I said, this is a wonderful instrument and has been beat up and really needs attention, and brought it to him. And you have that instrument as well as my other 83, which is straight out shop. So you have a total restoration Jeff Babbitts, 100% Babbitts, and then you have the straight factory. So you have two instruments. And one of your customers may want to own them both, because they're both 83s, and that was a banner year for us, for me especially, because I thought we had the groove. We knew that we were continuing in business. We're in Brooklyn. We're moving forward. There's employees. God bless them. and we made great instruments, and especially for me, '83 was a key year. Just like 57 Strat, 59 Les Paul, dot marker, 6335. That market. So we're part of it. L2, the original top bolt L2, wonderful. The Ned's first guitars, his first tremolo systems. These are all, at the time, absolutely revolutionary to the marketplace. And there's people who look for these because they deliver something. I'm not going to mention rock stars' names because everybody knows who we have and have worked with it. And I was fortunate enough to be able to meet many, many rock stars, go to a lot of concerts and discuss the instruments in general, because it's a geek thing. And I qualify as a guitar and bass guitar and instrument electronics and acoustic geek. So there's a lot of us out there. And as far as it goes for Steinberger, people involved and interested in Ned Steinberger's work, check in with Headless USA. No matter what you're looking at, check in with Headless USA, because Natalie's got her thumb on the pulse of this market.
Thank you, Hap. Have you remained close with any of your former Steinberger colleagues besides Ned?
Yes. And, Babbitts and Carano are the top two. Richard, who we just talked about, there are every, Billy Thomas. Look at Stuart Spector. I mean, the whole Woodstock crew, Mike Tobias, Harvey Citron, Stuart Spector, Joe Viette. It's just, makers, instrument makers. And many people were part of the Brooklyn crew, all moved up to the Woodstock, Saugerties area and are still ongoing. So it's a group of us, and we're all, part of this. And I'm fortunate to be a part of this group. And I'm not even talking about the vintage guitar sales guys, because that's where I spent most of my life as younger in this business. But vintage American fretted instruments, worldwide reputation and investment value. This is not just something to play anymore. Unfortunately, some of the greatest work from other companies is almost unreachable unless you're willing to borrow money to buy a really fantastic instrument. And I've got a friend of mine who's got a 1959, really flaming as anything, one owner Les Paul for sale right now for $600,000. So I don't know where this market is going. Don't know. So here we are. This is me selling off some of my collection, and I'm very proud to have owned it and have it and enjoyed it and played it, and my family has played it and friends. And I'm just at a point in my life where I am selling off some of the instruments that I've owned, because I have a lot. And I think it's just it's in the blood. I've been selling instruments since I was 15. So yeah.
Well, I've always been, in awe of the vintage guitar world and Gibson and Martin, and it's just really fun. And I'm really
Fender Gibson Martin, okay, Rickenbacker. I mean, if you go back to the vintage, Adolf Rickenbacker, Leo Fender, amplifier sound control guy. Leo got dragged into the guitar business by Bill Bigsby. Bigsby, who just said, "Hey, I don't want to make these anymore. Go to Leo Fender. I don't want to make any more guitars. Go to Leo. He'll make you a guitar. It won't be as pretty as mine, but it'll play good." Les Paul. I mean, Les Paul convinced Gibson, Ted McCarty. He said to Ted McCarty, "You're either going to give me a guitar, I'm going to go with Fender. You know, you got to go into this, or I'm out." You know.
So we don't have much time left. We just have about 3 minutes. So
I will say this though.
sorry, would
I
you say?
interrupted you. Les Paul takes credit somewhere in an article, Guitar World, guitar player somewhere, that he convinced Henry Jeskowitz to buy Steinberger Sound Company.
I would love to see that.
That's in print. I don't know where it is. We can find it.
I want to find it.
But Les Paul did that. He and Ned, Bob, Stanley, Ned, and I all were invited to Les Paul's house in New Jersey to spend an entire day discussing all this guitar geekdom. Why graphite? I said, well, that's the rail, not the log. You know, we had fun, and I was honored and able to be with, one of the absolute geniuses in the industry. Recording, looking at his recording machines and everything. So we're lucky. We got to spend time with Leo Fender. We got to spend time with Les Paul. You know, that's fortunate.
I personally am really inspired by Les Paul and just how resilient he was as a person. So we're almost out of time, but I just have two quick questions. I might have to call you back on another Zoom, but what do you see as the legacy of Steinberger, and how would you like to see it preserved or continued?
Oh, it's still in work. Ned's still designing. Ned's alive as you and me. He's still working on projects. He's working. Ned's enjoying what he's doing. He's a designer. He's a perfect designer. There's always some new twist. There's something he thinks about, says, this is what I want to do. And thankfully for us in the instrument business, he's put a lot of it into these instruments: guitars, bass guitars, hardware, how this can make it easier for a musician to reach down in the middle of a thing and just turn one knob here. Okay? It sure beats that. And with a 5-string bass, you need balance. The only way you're going to get it is Headless. Everybody knows that now. And he opened that up. So working with Ned Steinberger has been a blessing and an honor for me. And where's it going? Nowhere but up. We're going to make great instruments for till forever. That's it. What are we going to do? Stop now? Oh, it's great. It's a great team. We've got associates in Korea, in People's Republic of China, in India, Czech Republic.
I know. I'm so disappointed. Yeah.
Let me hear what you got. I'll the last minute. Let me hear what you got, and okay. I'll be able to recreate for you.
Let me try to go to my downloads.
You know how crazy this is. I feel. Listen, I'm not Ned Steinberger. I'm the sales guy.
Yeah.
I'm the person who, I've worked with Ned since the 70s, and I'm fortunate. I'm still working with Ned, and I'm not discussing anybody else who I'm working with. It's just this, and this has been fortunate, but it's historically, without question to me, America created the electronic musical instrument market. Right, so I'm telling you this. You got me recorded? You got me going on now?
Yeah, I was going to try to pull up the end of your interview, but I couldn't.
That's right. So we'll pull up part of it. Here's what. Thomas Alva Edison was allowed to take work ideas, including whatever, to create electricity and to sell electric power to the nation and later the world through Consolidated Edison. And his workshop was in New Jersey. And once he had light bulbs and other things going, he created different things and enjoyed it. And he did radio. He helped pioneer radio. And radio is two types of tubes that attract radio waves and tubes that amplify radio waves. We don't need to attract radio waves. We need to amplify an electronic signal. So you take a magnet and a bobbin and you wind it with copper and make an electronic microphone for a stringed instrument, especially a metal stringed instrument. Bang, you've got amplification, which was what Leo Fender loved. That was his thriving, desire. Leo had his own sound company for letting people do local broadcasts and got involved in the guitar market later through building amplifiers. Right? So Thomas Alva Edison gave us electricity. Electricity gave us the radio gave us an amplifier. And in 1928, Stromberg, Voisinette, and Vega introduced amplifiers and pickups for stringed instruments at the NAMM show. And that's the birth of electronic music. And I'll fight with anybody who tries to argue me out of my historical knowledge on that. And so everything we've grown, we created the electric guitar, we created electric bass guitar, thank you, Leo Fender. We created this market. We've helped create this music. So now worldwide everything goes through electronics and amplification. And that's what Stradivarius was working on, Stradivari, okay, his instruments to be able to have more volume. They weren't the prettiest, but they had the volume. And that's what we go for, and that's why we play it on 11, not 10, because we want volume. And so America created the electronic guitar, bass guitar, amplification, and electronic music, which gave us blues artists, American blues artists, Afro-American blues artists to be able to amplify blues. God bless you, Muddy Waters. All right. And continue this music which we have today. And Ned Steinberger's designs for fretted and unfretted instruments, bowed instruments and fretted instruments, are part of design evolution that he has been gifted to be able to have and see a vision and able to create. So working with Ned has been wonderful. And in my life, I'm looking forward to continue to be wonderful. And we've thoroughly changed the market. Many people now see bridge tuning, which is the proper word for it, bridge tuning, as the right way to be able to have ease, especially with a bass guitar. All right, this just is so simple. So right hand tuning, and Ned's working with different tremolo systems. He's continuing to work. He is enjoying continuing to rip apart and see what he can do. Take this, take that. Does this work? Does that work? So I see Ned as still having an absolute great time. And now he's making some hardware available to other people who want to follow his design work.
I'm really
competitors,
excited.
Supplying competitors. Yeah.
I can't wait.
Why not?
Yeah.
If you change a market, you have to supply the market. Yeah. Edison got rid of gaslight and gave the world electricity. We're still there today.
Yeah.
So Ned's designs, to me, are next evolution of this electronic music instrument or acoustic music instrument business that Ned has decided that he would spend his life working on. He's got other things too, but my involvement with Ned is through either Steinberger Sound Company or NS Design. And as long as I can keep going, I'm going to keep going. I'm still working. It's still exciting. Doesn't make any sense? It's still exciting.
Well, that's good news for me.
Right? And you're in it. You've come into it, and it's exciting to you, and that's great, and that's what it should be. And you're going to meet a lot of people, and you already met a lot, and you got a lot more, and you've got friends in the industry and friends who champion what you're doing. So,
Yeah, I'm excited to attend my first NAMM show. What do you see as the legacy of Steinberger? I think I already asked you that. Do you have any upcoming projects or plans related to guitars or basses that you could share with us? I know you're going to Germany. I don't know if you've talked about it yet.
well, um, I'm going for. We've had since 1999 when Ned started NS Design or moved NS Design forward. Ned went with me to the Czech Republic and Eastern Europe, and many of the instrument builders were out of business because the government, when it changed from communist to basic free, the government stopped supporting luthiers, instrument builders. They said, hey, you're on your own. Good luck. And some people who had spent 10, 20, 30 years shaping bass necks and cello necks and violin necks found themselves, what am I going to do for a living? And Peter Vikidal said, come with me. We'll set up a shop. We'll make instruments. And he has a company, New Bohemia Electronics Corporation, NBE. He also owns another distribution company called Eastern European Distribution. And Ned and I went to Peter's. I had been working with Peter, with Stuart Spector, another person who worked with Ned Steinberger and had Spector guitars and basses. And we were working with Czech Republic, people in Czech Republic since 94. So in 1999, Ned, there's a chance for us to make these instruments double basses there and have a part of the European market. And if I'm going to buy a bowed instrument, I would prefer a European-made instrument. I want European hands. I want the highest quality. This is the bowed instrument capital of the world. It's European. So we had a chance to become involved with a company whose Velvet Revolution in 1989 freed many people to be able to work in the instrument business. And so here we are today, and I will happily and proudly be with Peter Vikidal at the New Bohemian Electronics Company booth at the growing Mannheim Guitar Show, Mannheim Guitar Summit in Mannheim, Germany, about an hour south of Frankfurt. So it's an easy flight from anywhere to Frankfurt and then take a train south. Very easy. Mannheim is a big old capital, castle on the hill city that has a trade convention center. It's not huge like the Messe, but it's usable. And this show is growing. And it's everything to do with guitar, bass guitar, electronics. So fortunately, we're participating. And yes, there's Ned's newest guitars, Finn and Radius.
That's exciting. So
Yes, it's exciting. Yeah, well, they keep going. Let's go.
I personally, I want one of the Finns. I'll probably buy one. I'm going to do a closing statement, and then
Yes.
we'll edit all this. And then if there's anything else, any anecdotes or anything we want to put at the end, we'll record it, and then we can always edit it in. Hap, it's been an honor to have you with us today. Your stories and insights have not only given us, fascinating history of these instruments, but they've reminded us of the incredible legacy that you've built in the world of guitar and bass. We're genuinely humbled to be in your presence. I'm always humbled to be in your presence, and I'm just grateful, for the opportunity to learn from someone who has played an essential role in shaping modern music. You're a friend and mentor to me. To our audience, this is just the beginning. Hap has brought along some extraordinary memorabilia. He's going to be sending me some things, and we'll see what I can share, what I can't. There's
Historically, I'll give it to you. There's history, and I've saved many things from the past to pass on. So there's knowledge. That's it. You take what was from the past, put it forward, and it's available for people to be educated on why things happened, the history at least, of where we are. So you're doing a great job, and you have a really cool company with Headless USA. Congratulations. I'm happy to work with you, and I'm honored to have you, ask me questions, and I hope that you slice and dice this and you get the best that I can do. And this is to everybody out there who's an instrument player, interested in this market, interested in what Ned Steinberger is developing and what he has developed. I welcome you to check in with Natalie, and you'll find most answers to almost all your questions. And if we don't have them, we'll keep working on it, because working with Natalie has been an honor for me. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you, Hap. We look forward to seeing your unique instruments, and I can't wait to share it with everybody what we have to come. And there's just never-ending amount of stuff to discover. So
We're having fun, right?
and it's fun. This is fun. That concludes everything. So anything else you want to add that we can slice and dice? Maybe a little segment of you playing.
Oh no, I'm terrible. But it's been a really a life honor for me to have been involved with Ned, and every person that Ned has touched through through 44 years, 50 years of working on instruments, fretted electronic instruments or bowed electronic instruments, and applying his beliefs in how to make a better playing instrument into the marketplace. So yes, I'm very fortunate. I met Ned Steinberger, and I've worked with Ned Steinberger and everybody in that company, and also with Steinberger Sound Company. God bless Stanley MJ and P. Robert Young, both the other two co-founders who are no longer with us, but they're in spirit, and God bless. And I thank you, Natalie, and I hope that I hope it's pretty decent. I think so. I think we've done a lot. All right.
I think we did a good job.
Historically, we're there.
Yeah. I'll let you enjoy the rest of your evening. And what was I going to say? We'll work on getting people pricing by Friday. So
you got it. And now let's have some fun. You've got, listen, everything that the 4 instruments that I'm selling, to me, they are all valuable, historically important pieces. And this market continues to grow, and these are time capsules, and that's what they are. They're artifacts. And I'll use that word on my ending. They're artifacts, all right? Designed by and created by Ned Steinberger. So,
and they all belong in a museum.
No, they belong on stage in people's hands, just making music. All right.
I like that even better. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Natalie. Take care.